listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast by Dr. T. Michael W. Halcomb, Dr. Frederick J. Long, Dr. Mario Melendez, Dr. Jennifer Noonan, and J. M. Smith. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Proof Text. I'm Michael Halcomb, and in this episode, we're taking a look at some Hebrew vocabulary. So that means this is a Hebrew Growcabulary episode. And today we are thinking about or looking at considering the Hebrew term nasa. Nasa. So we, in thinking about this, the sort of simple gloss or definition of nasa is to lift up. And a good mnemonic device here, a way to remember this is NASA, N-A-S-A in English. You could sort of transliterate that from the Hebrew. NASA, got the rockets, right, lifting off, NASA. So NASA means essentially to lift up. We could say lift off. And it can actually branch into several different meanings. It can denote like the lifting of an object. It can even have the sense of like the lifting of one's spirits, lifting of a burden. So in Exodus, for example, when God speaking to Moses, he instructs him to nasa, right, to lift up his staff. And that is a physical act, but obviously there's theological meaning there. There's symbolism going on. It's Moses is asserting of authority, or acting in, out of, and in and under the authority of God, enacting what God wants. And it can also, nasa, have the idea or connotation of carrying, carrying a burden, carrying a responsibility, carrying a staff. So lifting or carrying, it could refer to carrying a sin, or carrying even the weight of one's ethical duties. And so if you look at something like Psalm 25, nasa is going to sort of take a turn toward the interpersonal, and there even mean forgive, right? In the sense of like a lifting off of sin, a removing of, taking away of transgression. And so let's look real quick at stepbible.org, and let's do a really quick look here at what we've got going on there. So if you're watching, I'm going to pull that up on the screen, and you should be able to see it now. I got the Hebrew Old Testament there. I'm going to set my keyboard to Hebrew and then do a search. So we have nasa, and you'll see down here that we have in the first two entries nasa, to lift or raise. So let's click that. It occurs around 600 times, I think is what it said. The first one we get in Genesis 4:13. So it's mi nasa. In Genesis 7:17, you get it too. Vayishau. And then in Genesis 13:6, nasa, that lexical form. And then in Genesis 13:10, vayisa. And this is vayisa Lot, so it's talking about Lot here. So you can see, I mean, this is all over the place in all kinds of different forms. But nasa, again, I think of NASA, the acronym in English, the space company, right? And a rocket lifting off. And nasa in Hebrew literally means to lift off, to carry, to take away, something like that. So yeah, that's nasa, and I'm going to stop there and say I hope that.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glossa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glossa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glossahouse.com today. Glossa House, language resources for the global community.